The Trump administration is in the midst of actually trying to withdraw troops from Afghanistan, and it actually demonstrates that that they're trying to withdraw about 4,000 troops from the region. Of course, this all comes at Ryan as the midst of this Russian bounty story, which we've exposed here as an obviously transparent effort in order to stop this withdrawal, in order to stop the peace process in place with the Taliban right now. Now, this has predictably angered the neocons in Congress, which are bipartisan Democrats and Republicans who are just bloodthirsty for proxy war with Russians in Afghanistan. House committee has voted to put roadblocks on President Trump's ability to withdraw forces from Afghanistan. Let's think about that. A House committee is voting, bipartisan, by the way, in order to keep troops in Afghanistan and overrule the commander-in-chief who is trying to sign a peace deal with those people, Ryan. It's the greatest bipartisanship that the world has ever seen, isn't it?
It sure is. And so do you remember back in 2018 when Lee Fang broke this story where he got audio of Steny Hoyer telling a progressive candidate in Colorado, hey, look, I know you want to run for Congress. That's an interesting idea, but I'm sorry, we've already chosen our candidate here. That's just how the cookie crumbles, and you know what? The ball didn't bounce your way this time. Better luck next time, kid. He was running against Jason Crow. Jason Crow was the one who had the DCCC support from very early on. Jason Crow is now teaming with Lynn Cheney, who launched her own campaign for Congress in Wyoming from McLean, Virginia.
That's right.
Her Facebook post announcing her campaign was tagged McLean, Virginia. It's like, come on, don't tag.
At least don't tag it.
At least don't tag your post from McLean, Virginia. And so it's the Cheney Crow Democratic Republican effort to make sure that troops stay in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, you have kind of the left and right teaming up to oppose this.
So this is the only thing that gives me any hope whatsoever, which is that Congressman Khanna, former national co-chair of the Bernie Sanders campaign, says, let's team up, Matt Gaetz, to stop the Cheney Crow amendment that prevents a withdrawal of our troops from Afghanistan. The American people want our troops home and the war ended. They want $50 billion a year to create jobs here, not thousands of miles away. Congressman Matt Gaetz responding to that. Let's throw it up there on the screen. He's basically telling Khanna that he agrees. He says, I agree 100%. I am your huckleberry, which is a questionable and weird reference at this time, but it is past time to end the war in Afghanistan. Huckleberry reference aside, I will take all of this that I can possibly get, because nobody in Ryan will ever face blowback working together to keep troops in Afghanistan, in order to keep our troops in harm's way in Afghanistan. Then nobody will ever pay a price for trying to have an endless war over there. And yet, these people are both going to be decried, I guarantee you. Matt Gaetz and Khanna be like, what are you doing? You can't work together, right? You're odious people. They're trying to do something good for once in the world. And somebody needs to stand up against these neocons who are trying to subvert the actual authority of the elected commander-in-chief of the United States.
Yeah, I think this is a moment that people are going to have to reflect on, because you have a lot of people on the left who will say, you cannot ever work with people on the far right who have all of these odious views, and they just need to be utterly shunned from decent society. Okay, let's accept that. So now, what about Jason Crow and Lynn Cheney?
Yeah, you don't think that's odious? That's pretty odious.
So I'm not sure if people are that familiar with the Cheney family, but if they are, Google exists, and they can stroll through Wikipedia and run through what Lynn Cheney believes about the world and what her father Dick Cheney believes about the world, and try to come up with some coherent worldview that tells me that it's okay to work with a party, a majority of which is happy to go along with Lynn Cheney on this question of foreign policy, but it's not okay to work with a faction of the party that sometimes will work with somebody as weird as Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, fine. Hey, look, you don't like Matt Gaetz? Fine. You don't have to work with him on anything. You want to stop him?
You don't even have to like his tweets.
You don't have to like him. Yeah, his weird tweets and questionable decisions sometimes. Who cares? Because all that matters is bringing our American soldiers home from Afghanistan, in my view. I could care less. Khanna, by the way, believes in some very stupid and terrible things on China, largely because I think he represents Silicon Valley. I'm not like it's morally objectionable to work with Khanna. Look, Khanna wants to team up with Matt Gaetz to get troops out of Afghanistan. Great. all this really, what the real spotlight out here is what's the real bipartisanship? No one pays a price for teaming up in order to keep the war going on in Afghanistan. Nobody pays a price for what is it, 29 soldiers who died this year in Afghanistan or the year before? They don't care. They're like, oh yeah, they died. Nobody can tell you why. Nobody can tell you what for. And nobody can tell you when anybody's coming home or why people continue to rotate in and out year after year, commander after commander, and the war gets worse and worse. The Afghan people continue to suffer. The Afghan government continues to grift off of us as much as they possibly can. No, that's fine. That's totally fine in their book. And look, this is the one shining moment in this conflict, and I very much hope that it succeeds. So there we go, and we will have more Rising for you after this.